They told my mom it would be good for me. Outdoors. Socializing. Safe, they said. Camp Willowmere was a little off the grid. Just a few old cabins tucked into the pine trees around a still, gray lake. The kind of place where time felt frozen. I was 14. Old enough to know that campfire ghost stories were just that, stories. But what happened on the second night? That was real. It started with 3 knocks. Not on a door. Not on a wall. They came from across the lake. Even measured, deliberate. Knock. 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 I sat up in my bunk. The sound faded, but it echoed in my chest. The kid above me, Danny, grunted, then muttered, "Don't worry. It's just the lake." But the next day, he was gone. His bed made. Shoes by the door. And no one had seen him leave. The counselors said he went home. But his stuff was still in the cubby. And no car had come. That was when I started to worry. Because the last thing Danny said to me, just before we fell asleep, was, "You'll hear it again tonight." That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the floorboards made me flinch. And sure enough, just past 2 in the morning, knock, knock, knock. This time, I wasn't the only one who heard it. I saw one of the other boys, Noah, sit up, whispering, "What the hell was that?" The knocks stopped as suddenly as they'd started. In the morning, Noah was still there, but quiet. He kept glancing at the window, like he was waiting for something. Later, while we were supposed to be doing archery, I stayed behind. I needed to know what was going on. I looked under Danny's bunk. Nothing. Then I checked inside the mattress frame, and that's when I found it, wedged between the wooden slats. A journal. The first page was dated July 1967. The handwriting was messy, like a kid's, but the words chilled me. Heard the knocks again last night. Then Chris went missing. Same as Tommy. They don't come back. I flipped through the journal, heart racing. More entries. All of them similar. 3 knocks. Missing kids. Always after dark. Always near the lake. One page stopped me cold. Last night, I heard it right outside the cabin. My bunkmate didn't. I think I'm next. If I disappear, someone needs to know. My name is Ben Carson. That's my uncle. My mom's older brother. He drowned when he was 15. Or at least, that's what she told me. But he had been at Camp Willowmere the summer he vanished. She never mentioned that. I took the journal to the head counselor. He laughed, said it was just some kid's prank. Said I was getting too into the spooky campfire stuff. Then he took the journal and told me to get to lunch. I never saw the book again. I made up my mind to leave. There were no cell phones allowed and no signal anyway. But I started planning a hike to the ranger station, 10 miles out. I figured I could leave early, before dawn, while it was still quiet. But that night, I didn't get the chance. Just past 2 a.m., I woke up to the familiar rhythm. Knock, knock, knock. But then, knock. A 4th one. Closer. Louder. Right against the cabin wall. I held my breath. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. But no one was there. I waited. Waited for morning. When the sun rose, I was the only one in the cabin. Everyone else gone. No signs of struggle. Beds made. Bags packed. I ran. Ran down to the lake, calling for help. That's when I saw them. Dozens of names carved into the dock planks. Dates next to them. Years apart. Some were half-faded, but one was fresh. Fresh enough that the wood still curled where the knife had sliced. Ben Carson, 1967. And just below it, my name, this year. I don't know how I made it out. I just ran. But I've never gone near a lake again. Not since Camp Willowmere. Not since the knocks. Because sometimes I still hear them. In my dreams. Or when it's quiet. And I worry. What happens when there's a 5th knock? We rented a houseboat that summer. One of those slow, boxy things with plastic deck chairs and old faded paint. My dad called it roughing it with plumbing. My little sister, Megan, called it an adventure. We moored the boat on Lake Merrow, deep in the hills, surrounded by dense forests. It was beautiful in the daytime, but at night it felt off. Still, too still. On our second night, I was on the deck, watching the water ripple in the moonlight. That's when I saw her, just past the boat's edge, floating in the shallows. A girl, face up, long black hair spread out like ink, eyes wide, unblinking. I gasped, "Dad." He came running, but by the time he looked, she was gone. No splash, no bubbles, just water. He said I imagined it. But Megan? She whispered. She looked just like me. The next morning, I asked around. The marina guy, old leathery, didn't say much, finally mumbled something. "This lake covers a town, you know. Flooded it back in the 40s. Drowned a church, a school. People didn't all leave in time." He said it like it was weather, just a thing that happened. I asked if anyone ever saw anything. He didn't look at me, just said, "Water remembers." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat up on the deck again, watching the black surface ripple. And at 3:08 a.m., exactly the time I saw her before, she appeared again. Same face, same eyes, but this time she was closer. And when she turned her head slowly toward me, she opened her mouth, but no sound came out, only water. The next day I swam. I shouldn't have, but something pulled me. Near the east bank, I found a strange shape beneath the surface, symmetrical like steps. I dove. At the bottom, covered in silt and weeds, was a staircase. It led nowhere, just down into the earth. And next to it, half buried in the mud, was a mirror. Oval. Cracked. I wiped it clean, and saw her again. But this time, she wasn't in the water. She was behind me, standing on the steps. I spun around, nothing there. When I looked back into the mirror, the crack had moved, and so had her eyes. That night, Megan had a fever. She kept muttering in her sleep, "She's waiting. She's waiting for me." I asked my dad again about the lake, about the town they drowned. He brushed it off. So I dug, found a newspaper article online. Tragedy at Meriton. Girl drowns during evacuation. 1948. Her name was Eliza Morton. Age 9. I froze. That was Megan's age. Same dark hair. Same eyes. I showed the picture to my mom. She turned pale, then whispered, "That looks like Megan." No, it was Megan, or someone who could have been her twin, 70 years ago. We left that night, but before we pulled away, Megan stood at the edge of the boat, staring at the lake. Then she whispered, almost too softly to hear. She says, "I'll be back." I was driving back from a weekend camping trip. Solo, a little sunburned, low on gas, and definitely not in the mood for traffic. Google Maps lit up red all over the highway, so I zoomed out and picked an alternate route. A thin gray line through the countryside. It looked like a decent shortcut. It wasn't. 10 minutes in, the pavement turned to gravel, then dirt, then just a set of ruts through a cornfield. The stalks were high, way over my car, and the road narrowed until the corn seemed to close in on both sides. That's when I lost signal. No bars, no GPS, but I kept going. And then I saw something in the road ahead, just standing there. A man, not moving, wearing a long brown coat and what looked like an old feed sack over his head. I slowed down, thought maybe he was a farmer, maybe just confused. I rolled the window down a little. "Hey, you all right?" No answer. He didn't even turn his head, just stood there, facing me. Still. I waited a moment, engine running, then decided to go around him. There was just enough space and the dirt shoulder to pass. As I crept by, I glanced at him from the corner of my eye, and that's when he lifted his hand. Not a wave, more like a signal. 2 fingers, pointing behind me. I turned in my seat to look, but there was nothing there. Just endless rows of corn. When I looked back, he was gone. I kept driving. Faster now. But something felt wrong. The road just kept going. No intersections. No signs. Just more corn. I should have hit a town by now. That's when I passed it again. The same scarecrow. Same coat. Same posture. Same 2 fingers. I hadn't turned around. I hadn't stopped. But I was back where I started. I checked my trip odometer. I'd gone 11 miles. But somehow, I was back at mile 2. I turned the car around. But after 5 minutes, the scarecrow was there again. Still, waiting. The sun began to set. Shadows stretched long across the road. I tried to call for help. Still no signal. Then I heard it. Rustling. Behind the car. I looked in the mirror. The corn was moving, but there was no wind. Then I saw something step out of the stalks. A child. Barefoot. Pale. Staring straight at me. I locked the doors. Rolled the windows up. She didn't move. She just pointed to my back seat. I froze. My heart pounded. And then, as if on cue, I heard a whisper from behind me. You finally came back. I turned slowly, but there was no one there. Just an imprint on the fabric, like someone had been sitting there. I turned the car off and stepped outside, because in that moment, I realized something awful. This wasn't a shortcut. It was a loop, and I'd been down this road before.